families. My name is Michelle Junkin, and I'm the pastor of spiritual formation. Welcome back.
And I am Heather Settlement, the director of children's, and we are going to be discussing what a disciple is.
Yeah, so I think, the word disciple can be a little intimidating, but at the end of the day, disciple means a follower of Christ, and it means living your life in a way that's patterned after what Jesus taught. Disciples studied under Jesus, and back then they had that face-to-face encounter with Jesus. He was passing on lessons and taking what they thought they knew from the Torah and Scripture and what they were taught by the priests and the scribes and just their culture. And Jesus kind of showed them a new way, turned that, I say, upside down, inside out, backwards, and showed them a new way to care for people. And as disciples today, as followers of Christ today, we can study Scripture and we can still follow Jesus' examples.
One of the things that I just thought about as you were talking about that is, Jesus spent a lot of time with the disciples and teaching them the ways that he wanted them to care for people and to share God's love with people. But a lot of times they got it wrong. And that was okay. Like, you never saw Jesus being like, oh, you're out. He still loved everybody and continued to work with them in that way. So I think that's something important to remember, that we're never in danger of being kicked out of the disciple club. We're always, whenever we are a follower of God, we're always already loved. And we can all be disciples. We can all share God's love with other people.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because it means you can have doubts. You don't have to have it all figured out. Jesus is often allowing them to start over or try again, and to also be open, like seeing the world a little differently. So maybe one time you don't help someone that's in need, and then Jesus would say, no, this is how we're supposed to be with people in need. And then the next time, as followers, just like the disciples back then, we're more aware of how to address the needs. But we don't need to be afraid of God. We don't think that God stays, is going to be mad or unhappy with us because we leave things undone. We fully admit that there's things we do well and things we don't do well, but God's going to...
Grace comes in that we've been talking about in chapel.
Yeah, we've been working a lot on that. And I think knowing that disciples of all ages, it makes me think of a story you shared with me once.
Yeah, that whenever I was younger, the way that being a disciple was described in the church that I grew up in made me think that was something that I attained whenever I grew up. It was something that I couldn't be a disciple until I got older. And so I always wondered what that magic age was, that I would become a disciple of God. But now realizing that anyone and everyone can be a disciple at any age is huge. I think kids can be wonderful disciples for Jesus, especially to their friends at school. Going and sitting next to the kid that doesn't have a friend, that's being a disciple. Playing with your brother or your sister that's having a rough day, that's being a disciple. Helping the neighbor across the street, that's being a disciple. Those are all things that we can do at any age. It doesn't require necessarily these huge gestures in order to do God's work. It can be little things throughout our day.
So it sounds like a disciple was constantly showing God's love in big and little ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Lent can be a time where we can re-examine how well we're doing that. And it can also be a time of fresh starts, to examine and to think about and ponder how we can be better at caring and sharing and loving other people. Because that's all part of being a disciple and a follower of Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that you like this segment on what is a disciple, the second week of your activity kit. Please continue to use the whole set, including the little people. And Heather's going to tell you just a reminder about posting.
Yeah. So make sure you read our story called Follow Me, where Jesus calls some of his disciples. I promise it's going to be a lot of fun. And as you do, use your wooden people to recreate that story in the most creative way you can. Take a picture of it and share it with us on our social media posts that you will see on all of our sites. Thanks, and have a great time.
See you next week.